Hola a todos, amigos de Son X. El Real Madrid sigue imparable en la Liga y esta vez volvió a demostrar su poder con una victoria contundente por 4-0 frente al Valencia, manteniéndose firme en la cima del campeonato. Una actuación espectacular de Mbappé con 2 goles, el liderazgo de Bellingham y el gran trabajo de Valverde como lateral derecho dejaron a todos sin palabras. Y como era de esperarse, la reacción no tardó en llegar. Thierry Henry y la prensa inglesa se rindieron ante el dominio del Real Madrid. Primero vamos a escuchar las palabras de Henry, que no dudó en elogiar al conjunto blanco. Y después veremos un video con la reacción completa de los medios ingleses, con subtítulos para que no te pierdas nada. Así que, si te gusta el buen fútbol y quieres estar al tanto de todo lo que pasa en Europa, suscríbete al canal, deja tu like y activa la campanita, porque aquí en Zone X te traemos las mejores reacciones y análisis del fútbol mundial.
El Real Madrid volvió a brillar con una victoria aplastante por 4-0 sobre el Valencia. El equipo de Ancelotti dominó de principio a fin, con una actuación estelar de Mbappé, el control absoluto de Bellingham y la entrega total de Valverde. Ante semejante exhibición, Thierry Henry no pudo resistirse y se rindió al poder del conjunto blanco. Y él dijo: el Real Madrid demostró, una vez más, por qué es el equipo más temido del mundo. La victoria por 4-0 sobre el Valencia no fue solo una goleada. Fue una lección de cómo dominar un partido de principio a fin. Mbappé, con sus 2 goles, no solo confirmó que es uno de los mejores del planeta, sino que también demostró que su mentalidad ganadora encaja perfectamente en la filosofía del club. Bellingham, con otro gol, reafirma que ha llegado para liderar al equipo en todos los frentes. Y Valverde, jugando como lateral, no desentonó en absoluto, mostrando que en el Real Madrid la versatilidad es solo otra arma letal en su arsenal. Este equipo nunca se cansa de recordarnos que, cuando se trata de talento, fuerza y ambición, no hay nadie que se le compare. Ayer el Real Madrid no fue solo una máquina ofensiva, fue una unidad perfecta. El 4-0 sobre el Valencia refleja la enorme evolución de un equipo que cada vez juega con mayor cohesión y entendimiento colectivo. Mbappé, con 2 goles, se está convirtiendo en el protagonista que el club necesitaba. Pero el verdadero mérito está en la consistencia del trabajo de todos. Bellingham sigue siendo el motor del mediocampo, siempre equilibrando y creando oportunidades. Lo más impresionante fue la actuación de Valverde como lateral derecho. Su esfuerzo, su capacidad para cerrar espacios y su apoyo constante en ataque demostraron lo completo y multifuncional que es este plantel. El Real Madrid está más fuerte, más imparable y más unido que nunca. El Real Madrid hizo lo que se espera de un equipo gigante. Arrasó al Valencia con una victoria por 4-0. Y lo más impresionante es que este equipo parece estar apenas comenzando. Mbappé, con 2 goles, fue la gran figura del partido, pero el verdadero destaque fue el potencial colectivo que este grupo está mostrando. Bellingham ya es el corazón del equipo, y su presencia en el campo da la sensación de que el futuro está en sus manos. Valverde, improvisado como lateral, demostró que el Real Madrid no tiene límites a la hora de aprovechar las cualidades de sus jugadores. Su fuerza, energía y capacidad de adaptación son esenciales en esta nueva era del club. Con cada partido queda más claro: el Real Madrid está construyendo algo que será temido por muchos en los años que vienen.
Oh, it's been a good few weeks for Real Madrid. In fact, it's been a good time for them since that loss to Atleti. Another win for them today, another 3 points, this time against Valencia, a team that they lost to at the Bernabeu last season. They did not have that misfortune today. This is how the table is looking on Saturday evening. Real Madrid extending their lead at the top. Barcelona will play Elche tomorrow and try to close that gap somewhat on the league leaders. Welcoming in Luis Garcia now. Lots to talk about in this game, and we'll go through some of the moments chronologically if we can. Luis, let's start with Kylian Mbappé stepping up to take a penalty again and scoring it this time after what we saw in the Clásico.
Top scorer of Real Madrid, top scorer of La Liga. It's true that he missed the penalty in the last game against Barcelona, but that's what you expect him from a top scorer and a leader into the game, that he step up once again the ball and did a fantastic job, score once again. Surprise later on in the second one when he had the opportunity to score even another hat-trick. that's something that I'm doubting. When you got the top scorer that just received the golden boot from last year, you want him to repeat it. So every single time that you have the option to give the ball to Kylian Mbappé, you're going to use it. And penalty is one of those. So surprisingly, we didn't see it today, but that shows that there is no selfish, that he wants to keep people around happy, and it allowed Vinicius Jr. to take the penalty. But very well taken, the first one from Mbappé, that scored once again, 2 goals in a game. Fantastic performance, and it's been a while.
Absolutely. Now, seeing as he's mentioned Vinny Jr., won't go to the penalty just yet. I will go to the fact that he was included in the starting 11 today. Everybody was wondering if he would be. Was this the right decision by Xabi Alonso?
Well, I wasn't wondering. I knew that Xabi Alonso would play Vinny Jr. simply because not playing Vinny Jr. was only going to invite more questions, more issues, more problems. It was going to create more controversy. And given the rhetoric of Xabi Alonso leading up to this game, in which Vinny, he spoke from the heart, from the soul.
He was impeccable.
Yes, you know what? Look, Vinny, he laid his heart out for all of us, and everything is behind us. We're ready to move forward. Well, the only way to move forward is to continue to play Vinny Jr. If indeed Xabi Alonso had decided to, we're moving forward, his heart is on the table, he was great with his apology, and then you bench him, that creates more problems. You don't need that. What you needed to do was bring Vinny off the field and have Vinny go through the ceremony, the protocol of actually waving to the fans, high five to Hendrik, little hug. Can I hug Hendrik? Oh, yes. Good luck. Mwah. Yes, great. Well, all right. Okay. Hey, Xavi, great. Thanks for taking me off. I really wanted to come on. Look, you go through that protocol so that everybody sees that there is no problem, and everybody now moves forward.
Are you okay with Vinny starting today, Stevie?
No.
Why?
Because.
But I kissed you. What do you want from me?
Well, I can't concentrate anymore.
Right, okay.
And even more importantly, the next time somebody else doesn't quite act the way they should responsibly, then he can't do anything. What's he supposed to do? When he lets one of the big cheesies away with all that nonsense, disrespecting him, disrespecting the players, I mean, it was all pushing and shoving at the end of the game. All of that stuff, he's gotten away with all that. So the next time somebody else steps out of line, if it's me, he better not punish me, because he's let the big cheese off. So he's just created a little problem for himself, in my opinion.
But he apologized with his heart, Stevie.
So he did.
And obviously,
but he's done that before. That's another annoying thing. This is not the first time he's done it. When you do something for the first time, and it's a surprise, and we didn't expect it, and you can stand in front of everybody, the journalists, your fellow players, the manager, and say, look, I was out all that. I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. I had the red mist. I lost it. That's acceptable for the first time. But not when you've done it already, and then you think an apology is going to cut it. No, what's a lot of nonsense.
You know, Luis, as Ale said, Xabi Alonso had said it's all behind him as of Wednesday. They'd spoken to one another. He thought that he'd been brave in the way that he put out his apology on social media. Who do you agree with, Ale or Stevie here?
No, it's not agreeing. It's about ways of seeing opinions and a way of managing a dressing room. I think that Xabi Alonso understanding what is Real Madrid, what is inside them, what is the sound and the surroundings of this Real Madrid side. Every single thing that he's gonna do is gonna they're gonna be looking under the microscope. I think it's very important to try to don't create more than what you already have in front of you. And with Vinny Jr. being benched on this game, even if you tell him, I think you're gonna create around something that you don't need right now. You just won El Clásico. You are at the top of the table. You got a very important game against Liverpool just a few days later. So what you don't want is now against Valencia, people talking during the next 4 or 5 days why you didn't put it. He's been punished. What is been waiting. He wants just to put that away. I'm sure that indoors he has had a chat with him. He has understood, and not only with him, with the rest of the players. Listen, guys. This is over. There is no more nonsense like this. We have to free focus, blah, 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 that a manager needs to do when you are inside a dressing room with a lot of ego. So I think that is a good way to do it, because Real Madrid is a different animal. It's something that when something happens, it's going to explode globally, everywhere in the world. And if you don't want to put any more fire or any more wood into the fire, the best thing is just to put it and keep it quiet. Moving on, it's an easy game back against Valencia as we've seen today, and now moving on to Liverpool, and no more people, no more talking about Vinicius. Let's talk about Kylian Mbappé, and all the players have done a great job today.
I'm pretty sure that means Luis agree with me.
He just didn't want to give you it.
Yeah, I know, but I could read between the lines.
You know, just didn't want to give you it.
No, I know.
Jude Bellingham obviously scored against Juventus. That was a winning goal. Scored in the Clasico. That was a winning goal. And today he gets on the score sheet again. So it's 3 straight games where he scores today. And this just shows that Bellingham's back, doesn't it?
But we are seeing from him what we think he is capable of. And that is, of course, scoring the goals as we have seen over the last few games, but also a tremendous passer of the ball with range with his passing game. Finding Arda Güler in behind today like he did. Being able to play alongside Arda Güler in advanced positions. Being able to combine in advanced position. And just as important for Real Madrid, given the athleticism that this team sometimes lacks in the midfield, to win possession of the ball back. When you have Fede Valverde playing right back, which they have now because of their injuries, you're sacrificing Valverde's athleticism. So you need somebody else to cover the ground or to help cover the ground. That's what Jude Bellingham brings as well. A guy who can press the ball higher up the field and can also win challenges in the middle third. All of that is valuable to Real Madrid.
Absolutely. And then an amazing goal, Luis, from Alvaro Carreras. Did you know that he had that in his locker?
No, actually, no. Don't forget he's been playing quite a lot of minutes, but also he brings that. He got a fantastic strike today. He was with confidence. I think that today was a perfect game for Real Madrid overall to try things, and he saw his opportunity and scored one of the most beautiful goals so far this season. So congratulations to him, but much more because he's been a complete player for Real Madrid on that left side.
And so on to the next game for Real Madrid, and we're going to go through Liverpool's league game today against Aston Villa a little later in the show. But how do you see that going for Real Madrid at Anfield this week in the Champions League, Luis?
It's going to be a tricky match for both teams. I had an eye today also on Liverpool, and I enjoy what I've seen so far. It wasn't the best game, but we saw a much better Liverpool intense, dominating most of part of the game, scoring goals, and that's something that we haven't seen for quite a long period in Liverpool. So for Real Madrid in the midweek game, they're going to have to bring the best of the best. That's why probably Xavi was resting some of the players. Going to Anfield is never an easy match, and it's true that Liverpool has had a struggle in the past 5-6 games, but it's always Liverpool, and when they play against the best one, the big players always try to show up and stand forward. So it's going to be a very interesting game, difficult to call. So if someone sees any of the team favorites, I think it's going to be lucky, because I think that both of them can win the game.
Okay.
Hold on. When you asked the question, did you really think that Luis was going to tell you that Real Madrid was
Gave him the benefit of the doubt, didn't I?
Did you really think that Luis was going to say, you know what, I tell you what, I saw Real Madrid today that was dominant. I saw Real Madrid today that was close to their best and that could go into Anfield and get a result. You really thought that that was a possibility coming from Luis?
You never know. No. I trust Luis.
Liverpool is not Valencia. Come on, just give me that.
Well, we agree on that. Yes.
Two things you agree on today.
100% correct, yes.
However,
Barcelona, let's move on, because we're going to get to Liverpool in just a minute, but let's talk about the fact that Barcelona play tomorrow again.
Madrid hold on to that top spot, and dare I say pretty comfortably with 30 points. Right under them is, no, it's not Barcelona, it's Villarreal with 23 points. Barcelona sitting third, same points as Atletico Madrid, both of them with 22 points. So dive more into this Real Madrid matchup. Let's bring in our CBS Sports La Liga correspondent, Phil Kitramilides. Phil, before we get into the rest of the matchup and how this played out, it really started off very early on with that handball. Was it a handball? Was it not a handball? I mean, from your perspective, what's going on? What are people saying over in Spain? What's your perspective on how this one played out?
Well, it was definitely a handball, because the ball did very clearly hit his hand. Whether or not it's in a natural position or not, I think that's why it was judged to have been given as a penalty, because it's judged to have been not in a natural position. I think actually Valencia, and this is what they were saying here in Spain, Valencia were actually lucky that this penalty was given and not for the foul on Kylian Mbappé, because if the penalty gets given for the foul on Kylian Mbappé, then it's a red card against Diego Lopez and they play with 10 men. So actually, even though it didn't feel like it, Valencia maybe got a little bit lucky by giving that penalty away for the handball. But, you know, people are often questioning handballs. What is a handball? What isn't a handball? It did literally hit his hand in the penalty area. It was in a slightly unnatural position. Could have not been given, but it was given. And Real Madrid had a pretty comfortable night tonight against a poor Valencia side.
All right, I'm going to dispute that because obviously I like to do things like this, Phil. We've known each other long enough. This is kind of crazy for me because initially, if you look at the challenge, there was Bellingham who went down first, and then we saw Kylian Mbappé go down. To me, it looked like Kylian might have been in an offside position. Therefore, it looked like that have negated the actual penalty kick, and therefore, obviously, the red cards you were talking about. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a hand appeared. So to me, it was almost as if they were looking for the penalty kick. I'm not going to argue. I just don't think it's necessary. At the end of the day, Real Madrid made it look easy, like you pointed out there. Now, Kylian Mbappe's performance overall, I'm intrigued by your perspective. He's simply outstanding. He looks better this season compared to what we witnessed last season. Why do you think that is?
I think for a number of reasons, but one of the most important things is the mental aspect and how comfortable he's feeling. I think it's interesting that we should dwell on one thing. Today, he scored a penalty kick against Julen Aguirre-Zabala, who was in goal for Valencia. Last season, Kylian Mbappé missed a penalty for Real Madrid at Athletic Club de Bilbao 11 months ago, and Julen Aguirre-Zabala saved it. And after that penalty miss, or that penalty save, Kylian Mbappé came out and said, "I've hit rock bottom." Fast forward 11 months, he's in a much better space mentally, he's much better physically, he feels like he's the leader. And when a player that good is that confident, you see what we're seeing week in, week out. But I think it's almost like a nice circle. It's not quite a year, it's 11 months since that moment where he said he hit rock bottom, having that penalty saved by the same goalkeeper past whom he scored tonight. And he's looking like he's absolutely flying. He had the golden boot given to him yesterday as well. Lovely little ceremony that they had, not little ceremony, big old ceremony they had at the Bernabeu. He was La Liga's Player of the Month in September. He was La Liga's Player of the Month in October. It's the first day of November, and I'm going to stick my neck out and say he might just well be Player of the Month in November as well. He's absolutely flying, physically looking better, and mentally a lot stronger as well.
Phil, he might be Ballon d'Or winner if he continues to score in this trend. It's quite ridiculous, the fashion he's scoring these goals in. And it's wonderful to see. And I'm glad you touched upon the point of him mentally being able to deal with it, because Real Madrid is not easy to deal with for any person, any human out there, including the manager, Xabi Alonso. It's been a difficult week for him after what happened with Vinicius Jr, obviously walking off in anger. I'm sure the media went a little crazy over there. But he's handling this team and this group of players incredibly well. How has he impressed you? I mean, what has it that's been stood out to you from the attributes that he's brought to the club and how he's handling this group of players to be able to continuously get top performances from this team?
It's been very impressive from Xabi Alonso, actually, and particularly how he's handled this, which has been the first major curveball that he's been dealt with in terms of dealing with the dressing room. They just beat Barcelona in the Clásico. They just went 5 points clear at the top of the table. And yet all this week, people weren't talking about the game. They were talking about Vinicius. They were talking about what was going to happen, the fallout, what Xabi Alonso has to do. Should Real Madrid sell him? All this stuff, which Xabi Alonso dealt with very, very calmly. And in the pre-match press conference yesterday, he came out and he said, listen, it's been dealt with. It's done. It's finished. Let's move on. And he does have this calm, steely persona that I think everybody around him does respect. And even though that does seem to not be the most respectful thing that Vinicius did in the Clásico, his behaviour towards the manager today, absolutely impeccable. He was subbed off in the 78th minute, came off, applauded, gave the manager a high five, and hopefully we won't see anything like that again. So Xabi Alonso is a former player. He's a former youth team coach as well. He is someone who has been embedded inside Real Madrid. He understands what it takes to be a player there. I think he's understanding now what it takes to be a coach there as well. So irrespective of how he's changed the team, and they are playing very differently to how they did last season, I think the mentality which he's brought to the table, it's been equally as impressive.
Yeah, it's been impressive to see this Real Madrid team get back to the Real Madrid side that we know. And it's been impressive to also see Jude Bellingham coming back from injury and getting back into that Jude Bellingham that we know. 3 goals in 3 games for him. I mean, what's going on here? You said Mbappé would be November Player of the Month. I mean, if Jude continues this form, December Player of the Month.
Good call, Claudia. Absolutely, you're right. And you know what? Someone said to me to try and explain why Jude is looking so sharp. They said, imagine you played for a year and a half with your shoulder being strapped for every game, being in constant discomfort during games, and then it's gone. And suddenly you feel amazing. Well, you would look brilliant and physically so superior out on the pitch. And that's what Jude Bellingham is looking like right now. Looking like an absolute physical specimen, dominating matches, scoring horrific goals, and just doing everything right as well. Today, his work rate was off the scale. And it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not he's in Thomas Tuchel's next England squad. I would be absolutely staggered if he wasn't. And maybe that dented his pride a little bit. Maybe that just motivated a little bit more to continue his recovery. But yeah, physically he looks tremendous. And that is one of his main attributes, Jude Bellingham, his physical prowess out on the pitch, where he just dominates the pitch. We saw that again tonight.
I definitely think he took that personally.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Make him angry.
Listen, he wants to play in that England team. He's definitely going to be in that England team as far as I'm concerned. I actually think England are handling him incredibly well. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Villarreal, second in La Liga standings right now. The home form's unbelievable. I just mentioned Gerard Moreno and obviously the goals that he's been scoring. Quite remarkable what he's done for that football club. But how good are they? Can they potentially be a candidate to challenge Real Madrid and Barcelona at the top of the table?
Probably not, but they could be a candidate to maybe be one of the best of the rest. I think they've got a really deep squad. They went out and they spent big money bringing in George Mikatadze, who is not a cheap player, but they spent a club record fee on him. I think there's strength in depth with Villarreal. You look at the forward line, you mentioned Gerard Moreno, they've got Mikatadze, they've got Alusawe, they've got Ayose Perez, European champion, not to mention Tejan Buchanan as well is there. There's a lot of firepower going forward, and defensively, they're a team set up with Marcelino. And here's the thing about Villarreal, they don't want the ball. They're very happy to sit deep and counter-attack. They're so good in transitions. They score so many goals without necessarily having most possession in the game. Today they won 4-0. They didn't have most possession in the game against Rayo Vallecano. So they are a team that don't need the ball to really be effective in matches. And yeah, they're a terrific side. They're in the Champions League as well, so I think it's going to be difficult for them to compete on two fronts. But for them to finish top four would be another magnificent achievement, and well within their grasp.
Phil, we appreciate it so much. We were only supposed to be talking Real Madrid, but Villarreal has been impressing us so much. We had to use you while you were here to ask you about them.
Curveball every now and again. That's why we have Phil on here. That's why he's the expert.
Hey, he's the expert. Phil, get to bed. I know it's late over there
in
Spain.
Phil. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.